Alright, today's going to be the first of 2 videos that are kind of tied together, and all of them are related to the newest Goodreads Choice Awards because I'm tired. I wanted to be able to go to the Goodreads Choice Awards and see exciting books that I had missed. That didn't happen because the Goodreads Choice Awards is good for some genres, picking what is zeitgeist popular. Doesn't mean best, right? But it's good for some categories of just being this is the vibe. This captures what people who love these genres like. And that works a little bit for some of them, but it's truly missing the mark for fantasy and science fiction. Because I would say that for the most part, thriller, mystery, romance, horror, maybe general fiction, they're not people who love those things are definitely always going to be this list is not the right list. But it will be a good taste test for a lot of people. I think fantasy and science fiction have lost the way. So, based off vibes, I've made 2 lists. One for science fiction that we'll do today, and one for fantasy, where I'm these feel like 15 books that should have maybe been on the list. And some of them were on the list, to be fair. But that's what I've decided to do. And I have not read all of them, because I was under a rock and hoping for some guidance. Did not get guidance, so I went and looked at a bunch of lists, and I was this feels right. And I based it off how often I'd seen that cover. Because, again, I want it to still be a shallow popularity contest. I just want it to be a shallow popularity contest on books that matter to people who read the genre. Because, especially for science fiction. And I love literary science fiction, guys. I love it. I think that's a great part of the genre. It shouldn't be 12 of the 20 spots. That's insane. I don't even know if that's accurate number, but it's a lot of it. Goodness, it needs to have some space opera. It needs to have some thriller. Anyways, I feel like poor science fiction really gets the short end. Fantasy, it's wibbly wobbly, but we'll do that list next week. And so this is in no particular order, and I've also included, God forbid, sequels. Because sequels are important to genre fiction. It's important. That's it's part of the joy, it's part of the love, is having a trilogy or a duology or a long-running series. I haven't even read all of these. There are some books on this list that I'll never read, but I think they should have maybe been on that list. So, here we go. I'm not willing to say these are snubs, and because again, not all of these have high numbers or anything. Not that any science fiction book on Goodreads is going to have high numbers. But let's go, just like I said, starting with some that I think were on the list. The Mercy of Gods. In a perfect world, I think this one probably should win in terms of popularity because, James S.A. Corey, they bring people into the genre both with visual media with their Expanse TV show and with books. That's super popular, that's super crossover appeal, while still being true to the spirit of the genre, while having aliens. I believe it has aliens. I have not read this book. I don't know if I will read this book. I'm happy it was on the list. It's also on my list. Another one is the Stardust Grail, and I don't know why Goodreads is obsessed with this author. I mean, she's not a bad author. I read The Deep Sky. It was good. I don't know why this is the author that they've decided is going to be the hallmark for adventure-adjacent science fiction. The first book, The Deep Sky, was more isolated, close-circle mystery in space. I think this one's more heisty. It's kind of seems like it has the, I don't want to say generic, but typical plot of person who's very good at heisty things, needs to heist like she's never heisted before for an artifact that will save an alien race and no one's seen it in a millennia or something. I don't know. I think it should be fun. People said it has good found family energy. So, I mean, this feels genre. I'm happy it's there. For me, I didn't know that this was receiving good, reviews, so maybe I'll check it out. So for me, someone who, hasn't been as on the pulse of the genre, I'm glad that I've, got to see this. Similarly, Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is a standalone, I believe. I think the world is in a bad place. I think this is one of those humans suck and we're in a bad place. And we are very dependent on robots. I got a lot of iRobot energy, not the short story collection, but the movie with Will Smith when I read the synopsis, which kind of makes me want to read it. Because I really like the iRobot movie with Will Smith, which I don't know if that's a popular or unpopular opinion in sci-fi spaces, but I kind of like that movie. And this synopsis reminded me of that. So far, those were ones that I really liked. And I think from then, there's one other one that they had that I was yes, this can be here. And that's Extinction, which had to do with a zoo with mammoths and other creatures. And then I think it's more one of those mystery thrillers where someone gets killed on this reservation and they don't know why. But I think that's also, like, that's a part of science fiction. That's very Jurassic Park adjacent. I don't know if it's nearly the same level of a thriller as Jurassic Park or as hard science-y, but when I read its synopsis, I'm like, yeah, you can stay. You can stay here. Because again, I'm not, like, against things that maybe aren't, like, complete genre. But, like, I don't know. Something that's not on my list, and people can fight me, is, what's it called? Oh, Orbitals. I think Orbitals is general fiction. It's set in space. I don't know how much of it is truly fantastical. Like, maybe some of the space travel was inaccurate. It's a philosophy book set in space. It's fine. I just won the Booker. Goodness. All right, so then we're getting into the stuff that I'm like, where is this? Why isn't this here? I think it should be here, and maybe you should read it. Are you looking for science fiction books? We might like these books. We might not. Who's to say? So, first one is one I read. I only liked, but still, I think it's a good novella, and this is Lost Ark Dreaming. This is one where the comp is actually like 10 out of 10. Yes, it's Snowpiercer meets River Solomon's The Deep. Yes, it actually is those two things. I don't know if I like that, to be clear. I like both of those things individually. Together, I still don't know if I like the blend, but that's an accurate comp. We are in this tower that some of it's underwater because we've had mass flooding. We're in Nigeria, I believe, in like the waters around Lagos. And we have to go underwater to solve a mystery, and then things are happening. And I think my big thing, especially after the recent election, is it's one of those classic, all we need to do is let people know the truth, and that will change everything. And I don't believe in that. I don't think the truth will set us free. I don't think people will recognize the truth ever. And this is not the only book that does that. It's just one of many where I'm just like, I do not believe this will work. Want to know why? Everything. But before that, I really liked the characters, like to the point where this is the author who has a fantasy trilogy that I actually will try out now because I liked his character work and I thought he did a great job making me be invested in them really quickly, which is hard to do in a novella space. Let's see. Another book. Didn't like this book, but I think it should have still been on this list. Womb City. This is great. Like, dystopian, 1984 adjacent, and it has, like, horror-leaning stuff. It's just not for me. But I think this should have been on the list. I know it wasn't probably because it had low ratings because, like, the pacing might be wonky for a lot of people, or maybe they were like me and didn't like the genre blending. I don't know. It's a well-written book. It just didn't work for me. It should have still been on the list. This is, like, pretty good science fiction in terms of the realization of the world and what it would look like and the rules of how your body can be transported to different spaces. Like, it is good cyberpunk horror, and that is an important part of the genre. Dystopian cyberpunk horror, we should have that. We should have that on the list. We should just be proud of our tropes. One that I was surprised wasn't there is Exordia by Seth Dickens, I believe is his name. I can't remember. But I feel like this is an author I've seen around, but I've never read their works. I was interested in the synopsis. That said, I don't remember any of it right now, but like I was kind of like, ooh, I would like to read it. I think this is another one where Earth is bad. Things are falling apart. But I don't remember what humans are trying to do to fix it. But presumably, I believe we are following people who are trying to fix things. Which I just find that's cozy to me. So, yeah, I've heard reasonably good things about it. But again, this feels like a typical hard sci-fi adjacent book with a lame cover that we should have on the list. Like, this feels like genre science fiction. One that I've read, The Imposition of Unnecessary Obstacles. Yes, we should have more novellas and we should have more sequels. This is a sequel to The Mimicking of Known Successes, and it's very good. We live on Jupiter. The thought experiment of living on Jupiter, awesome. Dealing with the ramifications of why we had to live on Jupiter, also awesome. And you get a nice wholesome mystery around it. That's great. Next one, I don't know if I'll ever read this book, but it should be on the list, especially for people who like science fiction, and that's Disquiet Gods. This is book 6 in the Sun Eater series, one of the most popular science fiction series that is ongoing at the moment. Like, I think the only extremely popular science fiction series, bar none, is Red Rising. But, like, this one is incredibly popular among science fiction and fantasy readers. Like, incredibly. Not me, alas. But that doesn't change it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it shouldn't be on a list. It should be on a list. It should be there. So anyways, that's one. I have another novella that I haven't read, but it's like another one of those, you're looking at a future society, and it's a novella and you get to look at different parts of it. And it's called The Practice, The Horizon, and The Chain. And I think like those 3 sections, we get characters from each of them. And I was just interested in it. And I remember when I was making like new releases videos for this year, it was on my list then. And then I saw it, and I saw its generic little cover, and I'm like, yeah, that just screams genre science fiction. Because we are the genre of fine covers. They do not spend as much money on these covers. Another one, this person was on many a short list for their first novel, but this is the Tusk of Extinction. We have 2 mammoth books. 2 mammoth books. This one is a mammoth book where we have to deal with the idea that, yes, we were successful in bringing mammoths back, but how do we train a mammoth to mammoth? I believe. So, yeah, I haven't read any of his books. His first book, I think, had to do with, like, octopuses. I can't remember the plural. Don't come at me. But in terms of hard science fiction and dealing with the ethical repercussions of science, yes. This next one is probably actually my favorite that I'm going to talk about. Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson. Like, yeah, excuse me. Excuse me, why wasn't this on the list? I know people have mixed opinions about it, but still, in terms of popular science fiction that was released hardcover, this is very good. And, it's about our now and also about a continuation of the plot of this place. I think it's very good. It has a fascinating view on how a civilization can respond to rehabilitation. That's one of my favorite thematic points of it. I really do like the exploration of how we have this confrontation between the domed city and Ashtown, especially when it comes to a head because of these mysterious killings. I really like Mr. Snakes, who is our perspective, and how flawed they are as a narrator, but also how that makes it richer for me. I think this is great. At bare minimum, it should be on a list. It should be on this list. So that's another sequel, though. We've had 3 sequels so far. Our next sequel, Echo of Worlds. No idea if I'll ever read this. But he's a popular science fiction author. He's known for The Girl and All the Gifts. He should be on the list. And his first book may or may not have been on the list. This is the second one, though. And I'm just nope, it should be here. I'm pro shoving sequels onto a list. This is popular, mainstream science fiction. Should be on the list. I don't remember what it's about. It's a multiverse book series. I didn't read the first one. I think the second one's receiving slightly better praise than the first one, but obviously people who read the second book like the first book, so One that I kept seeing in bookstores, so I was just always intrigued by it, but I haven't read it or anything like that, is Ocean's Godori. This is a character who's Korean, but not quite Korean enough, very diaspora toned themes going on here. And I love a diaspora themed book. I really do. Is it because I'm in a diaspora? Yes, it is. It's because I'm in the Venezuelan diaspora and I never know where I belong. So I am drawn to those things and it just looks very cool. I don't actually know if it's good, but it looks cool. And look at the science fiction awards for the Goodreads. So many of those covers do not look cool. Some of them look pretty, but they don't look cool. And science fiction should look cool. Or dreadfully boring. But in a, this is stock arc image, not in a, this is literary. Which I do still like literary science fiction, but it's just there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place. All right, and then I have one more, and it's a sequel, and this is On Vicious Worlds, which is still a series I need to get to by Bethany Jacobs. Everyone's been loving it. I think it's heisty. I don't remember much about it. Maybe there's a bodyguard romance going on. I could be wrong. That could be a different sci-fi series. I try not to juggle too many science fiction things at once. Was that the Megan O'Keefe new one that was bodyguard? I don't know. I didn't put the Megan O'Keefe third book on this because I think this series is more popular. But, Orbit releases books for science fiction, and they should be on this list. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments what you think is an underrated science fiction that we all should be looking at. Because I feel like the science fiction books are not necessarily not hitting, but they are not getting marketed. And so we are missing out. And I would like to read them. I didn't even put Usurpation on the list, which is one of my I'm excited for this one, but I know not many other people are. So I don't know. sound off in the comments down below. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave your favorite sci-fi trope emoji. So if it's an alien, leave an alien. If it's a space opera, leave a spaceship, etc. Leave your favorite sci-fi related emoji. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.